Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. So in today's video I'm going to be showing you all the books that I've decided to unhaul. This is not really my first book unhaul, but my first series from my actual collection. The first one I ever did was from like my childhood books, ones that I didn't really care much for, but these are the ones that I said I would never unhaul. But I come to the realization recently that I want to make room for books that I love. It's starting to get a bit overwhelming with my collection, but also I would rather these books go to a home where they're going to get loved instead of just sitting on my shelves where I'm never going to actually pick them up or reread them again. At the end of this video I will add in the clips of the ones I have already sold and been sent off, because I am filming this later than what I planned, but there's actually quite a few books here. I'm shocked myself. I will leave a number at the end of the video of how many I'm actually getting rid of. So let's just get right into the video. So the first ones I have is the Atlas 6 and the Atlas Paradox. If you don't know this already, I did try and read this one I think in a video and it just wasn't for me, and then I gave this one a go. I can't remember if I actually finished it or DNF'd it. I generally can't remember anymore. But either way, this series just isn't for me. The writing style, it just confuses me when I read it. I just didn't really understand it. And I'm not going to continue on with the series. I'm also just never going to pick this up again. And even if I decide to, I just thought we'll most likely read it on my Kindle or listen to an audiobook or something anyway. I really don't need the physical copies of these. So I have decided to get rid of these. We have The Witcher. And again, I read this, I think it was last year or the year before. And again, this one wasn't for me. I didn't really enjoy it. I can't see myself picking it up. I do believe that this is actually a series as well. Yeah, I just don't see myself continuing on with the series because I didn't like this one. That is why I'm unhauling it, because I'm never going to pick it up. And again, if I decide to in the future, which I literally cannot see myself doing because I really did not like this book, I can just read it on my Kindle. That is my thought process for most of these books. Then we have By the Book, and I read this one last year also, and again I think I rated it like 2 stars. It just wasn't a favourite of mine, and I don't think I'm going to read anything by this author again, just because the writing style isn't for me, and I have read another book by this author which I'll get to later on, and both of them I just didn't really enjoy. And originally I was just keeping it for the cover, but then I was like, no, I'm never going to read it again. I'm never going to pick it up again, so it can go to a new home where it is going to be loved and read, and I'm just never going to pick it up again. Then we have Lick by Kylie Scott, and this one I read recently. I thought it was okay, but I'm never going to reread it. It's quite like a older series now as well. Well, at least I think it is a series. Yes, it is. And I only have the first book, and if I want to continue on with the series, which I can't imagine myself doing, but if I decide to in the future, what am I going to say? Kindle. Yeah, I can just read it on my Kindle because I don't own the other books anyway, and honestly I'm not interested in collecting the rest of the series. Then we have A Brush with Love, and I'm getting rid of this one because I have 2 copies. I have this one and then the one that I annotated, and I don't need 2 copies. I also didn't really enjoy this book. If I could get rid of the other copy I would, but because I annotated it, I am keeping it. But this book took me, I want to say like 3 months to get through, maybe even longer. It took me so long to read it. I just couldn't get into it. I don't know what it was. So I am going to keep the annotated copy just because I know that no one's really going to be interested in having that, but I am going to get rid of this one. Then we have Taste Like Shakar, and this one I believe I thought it was okay. Like, it was an average read for me, but I'm just never going to reread it. I can't see myself rereading it, and when I read this I actually read it on my Kindle anyway, if I remember correctly, so I'm just never going to need the physical copy. Then we have Better Hate Than Never, and this is actually the second book from the interconnected series that I believe it is in, and I am getting rid of this one because I just wasn't a big fan of this book at the time. Now I was thinking of rereading it, which is fine, but again I thought I could reread it on my Kindle because I do own it on my Kindle, and when I first read this I didn't even use the paperback, I don't think, if I remember correctly. No, I think I read it on my Kindle anyway, so I can just do that. I'm interested in also reading the first book, and I was like, I'm gonna keep this so I can purchase the first book. I don't need to do that. I can read everything on my Kindle. Then we have I Love You, I Hate You. I did read this one a while ago and it wasn't memorable. I remember not liking it too much. I'm not going to reread it. This is one of the reasons for most of the books. I feel like I am going to be repeating quite a few things. Then Savvy Sheldon Feels Good as Hell. Not memorable. I actually don't remember anything about this book. If you asked me what it was about, couldn't tell you, but I have read it and I remember rating it low. Maybe I'll reread it one day. I just don't need the physical copy to do that because I don't think I used the physical copy. I think I actually listened to it on audio when I read it. If I have the audio or Kindle version, I just feel like I don't need the paperback really. Then we have The Comeback, and I remember rating this one low as well. Can't see myself rereading it, so this one can also go. And then we have These Hollow Vows, and I remember this one, I think it was okay, or I wasn't really a big fan at the time, but But fantasy books I mostly read on my Kindle, so I didn't even use the paperback. Most of the fantasy that you'll probably see me get rid of is probably because I mainly read fantasy on my Kindle. It's just easier for me, and fantasy is obviously thicker. It just intimidates me if I do read physical copies of it. So that is one of the reasons why I'm just mainly getting rid of this. I don't know if I'll reread it one day. That is my issue. I think I rated it 1 star actually when I read it, but that's why I was thinking of rereading it, because I don't remember a single thing about it. And I think what put me off was the fact that it's triangle. But again, if I decide to, I can read it on my Kindle. Then we have The Witches at the End of the World, and I read this at the end of last year. It was more recently, and honestly I didn't enjoy it. I thought I would. I mean, I love the cover, love everything, but it just wasn't a book for me. I think I rated it 2 stars at the time, but I was bored. I did read it in one sitting, but I was bored. I'm not going to reread this. I'm never probably even going to think of this book again, so that's why I thought it'd be better off in someone else's hands. Then we have Hex Appeal, and this I believe it's the second book in a series. I could be wrong, and I'm pretty sure I do have the first book. No, this is the first book. And then we have Hex in the City, which is somewhere else. And I mean, I probably would have unhauled that as well if I knew where it was. Oh, I read it this month. You'd probably be seeing a part 2 of this, or another unhaul in like a reading vlog or something, just because I am unhauling other books. It's just I haven't unhauled them yet, if you know what I mean. So anyway, long story short, this is the first book, and it was okay at the time. I just can't imagine myself rereading it. If I do, again, Kindle, I think you're going to be bored of hearing me say this, because I haven't used this paperback either, if I remember correctly. But it was a fun read. It's good for full-time, spooky season, all that stuff, because it is about witches. I just can't see myself using this actual physical copy, so why let it take up space on my shelves when I'm just not going to use it. Then we have Black Cow, and this story was very interesting. I actually did enjoy it, but I just can't see myself rereading it. Love the fact that it's written by different authors and stuff. But again, I just can't imagine myself rereading this one. So I did read it years ago, and I loved it at the time, but I don't know if it would be my thing now. Then we have My Mechanical Romance, and again, this one was okay. I think I rated it 2 or 3 stars. I just can't see myself rereading it again, and I just think it might not be something that I enjoy now, because I have noticed that within like the last year or so my reading taste has changed so much. That's also what I've got to try and remember as well. Then we have The Two Lives of Lydia Bird, and I actually have a whole video of me reading this. I think it's called Tackling My Physical TBR episode 1, and that's when I tried doing it the first time, and I just did not enjoy this at all. I was bored the whole time, so I thought, why do I need to keep it on my shelves? I don't. Then we have Don't You Forget About Me, and this one I didn't enjoy it, but I don't remember much about it, so I couldn't tell you what I didn't enjoy, but I just can't see myself rereading it. Then we have Until I Met You, and this one I found okay, but I think if I was to reread it now, I wouldn't enjoy it. The one thing I did have a problem with this was the writing style, but like I said, it was fun while I read it. I just can't see myself rereading it. We have The Last Bookshop. Now when I read this, I was very disappointed. I think I rated it like 1 star, and I mean, I would probably reread it again. I just won't reread it physically. The first time I read it was via audiobook, I think. I could be wrong. The second time I'll read it, I'll probably listen to the audiobook again, or Kindle. So I just don't need the physical copy, even though, I mean, the cover's cute, but I can't keep books because the cover's cute. Then we have My Year of Rest and Relaxation. I brought this one because everyone was like, you know, talking about it. It was very popular, and when I read it, I was like, huh. I just didn't enjoy it as much as I thought. Like, I really brought into the hype, and I thought I was going to love it. And then when I brought it and I read it, and then that's when all like the bad reviews, or mixed reviews should I say, came out about it. And I was like, I'm glad I'm not the only one that didn't really enjoy this. But I feel like you have to have a certain type of reading style to enjoy this. And I mean, it wasn't the worst thing. I think I rated it 2 stars. It wasn't the worst thing I ever read. It's just, it was a strange one, not something I would normally read, and I can't see myself rereading it. Then we have The Setup by Lizzie Dent, and again, I read this. I think I rated it 2 stars. I just can't see myself picking it back up. If I decide to in the future, I can read it on my Kindle. I think that's what I did in the first place anyway. I mean, like I said, cute cover, but I don't know. I just don't think I'm going to read it. Then we have Looking Out for Love, and again, I read it 2 stars. I just don't think I'm going to reread it, and if I decide to, there's always my Kindle. It's in my thought process of getting rid of most of these. Then we have 8 Perfect Hours. Again, I read it. I don't really remember much about it though, if I'm being completely honest. I'm not sure what I rated it. I just can't see myself rereading it. I just don't think it is my thing anymore, or my style of book I like to read anymore. And if I remember correctly, with this one, I found the pacing of the book really slow. It can go to a better home. Then we have Seeking the Dead by Kay Ellis, and I just don't think this is an author for me. I do have a second book from this author that I believe I'm actually going to unhaul as well eventually. But this is the first book that I read by them, and I just did not like it. The story was all over the place. I just couldn't get into it. It took me forever to read. So I have decided to get rid of it, and hopefully it can go to someone that will enjoy it more than what I did. It's just I don't think this author is for me, or their writing style. Then we have A Drunk on Love, which is from the same author as By the Book. And again, I read this. It just wasn't for me personally. I did think I was going to enjoy it a lot more, and this is perfect for summer. So we are going into the season where I think that someone might enjoy this more than what I did. We have Dating Dr. Dill, which is the first book to Taste Like Shakar, and I read this one a while ago, and I was thinking of rereading it. I think I rated it 3 stars, but then again, I just can't imagine myself rereading it. And if I want to, I can do it on my Kindle. Then we have We Were Liars, and this one, we all know my feelings about this one. This one's a 1 star for me. I did not enjoy it at all. I was bored. It took me 3 months to read, and come on, it's so short. So I'm very happy to get rid of this one, and you know, it's a new space for a book I'm going to love. And then finally, I'm getting rid of the Kiss and Booth series because I didn't like the writing style. It was very cringy, and I unfortunately did read all of these books, and they were okay. To be fair, that was okay. It wasn't the worst, but the writing style, I just couldn't. There was so many different things different from the movie as well. Like, the rules were not a thing in the books. Gone. And it's like, that is the main thing within the movie. Anyway, you wouldn't know that unless you've watched the movie anyway, so it probably wouldn't be a big difference. But I'm hoping that this will go to someone who will love the series more than what I did. Okay, so now I'm going to add in the clips of the books that I have already got rid of, and there have already been quite a few, which is great. So in today's video, I have unhauled 45 books, which is definitely shocking to me because I didn't think I'd unhaul anything, let alone 45 books, and there's still other books that I look at and I'm thinking I can easily unhaul those. So like I said, you might even get another video like this one, which will be shocking to me, or I might just talk about the books that I want to unhaul in a reading vlog at some point. But that is the end of today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe and leave this emoji if you're watching until the end, and I hope to see you all in my next one. Bye.